and www.tameyourdragonscoaching.com, bringing you today's podcast of The Flashlight. Really super serious talk today. I've gotten my information today off of the Government of Canada public health website and CAM, Center for Addiction and Mental Health. So these are factual. You can look them up. I'll add links afterwards after the video is done. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is suicide. Just, the news was, I haven't watched news in quite a long time, and I was out the other day having a coffee, and I just happened to glance through a newspaper, and I was just deeply saddened by what's going on in the world, and I think that we need to make some serious corrections in that. And I think we need to get together as a people and push our local politicians, our members of parliament, our MPPs, and make some serious change with what's going on in the world today. I'm going to talk a little bit about suicide, and I do have my posters up today. So 11 people every day die in Canada. That's about 4,015 souls lose their lives to suicide in our country every year. It's the second leading cause next to heart disease in the death of teens and young adults. One third of the deaths come to people from 45 to 59 years of age. Um, Men come in at 3 times uh, the successful attempts at suicide than women do. Women talk about it more and they hurt themselves much more than men do, but men are way more successful at it. And that's a problem that we need to correct, and we need to fix that. So uh, I just looked at another statistic that came out of Alberta, and I just kind of revamped it for Canada. If 8 jumbo jets, okay, 8 jumbo jets that hold about 500 people each, were to fall out of the sky. That's 8 jumbo jets that were falling out of the sky in Canada every year for the last 20 years. The public outrage would be just beside itself, and the globe would be looking at us and going, what is going on in Canada? And indeed, what is going on in Canada? I'm going to talk a little bit about the mental health situation uh, today, and I'm going to pick apart a few things as we go along, and by podcast and by podcast. Um, the following cast will explore ADHD, anxiety, post traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, and much more. Get into some statistics, mental health stats. More than 6.7 million of us live with a mental health issue daily. Over 28% of our population between the ages of 20 to 29 experience mental health issues every year. That's almost a third of our country. That's unbelievable. 8% of our adults, so 45 and older, will experience major depression sometime in our lives. So that's around 3 million Canadians will have a major depression issue at some point in their lives. 1% of our population uh, has terrible mental health issues when it comes to schizophrenia, uh, borderline personality disorders, multiple personality disorders, bipolarism. Uh, yeah, the list just goes on. Anxiety holds 5% of our population hostage to a point where they can't even go to work every day. That's 5%. I know that the numbers are actually higher, and these statistics come from like 2014, I believe, if I look back to the website. So uh, this is just unbelievable, and I think that we need to look at some of this stuff that needs to change. Uh, Suicide coming in it again, for some statistics that come out of CAMH, 16% of people between 25 and 44% or 44 years of age die by suicide. 24% of our population dies between the age of 15 and 24 years. Only half of our population that end up with a mental health issue. So 49% will seek help. So if we go back to the original number of 6.7 million, that's about 3.3 million people will actually get help, and the rest won't. That's a staggering number. Uh, with treatment, 80% see marked improvement in their lives. And if they get the support and the peer support and the counseling that's necessary, and in some cases medication to help those folks, uh, it will be phenomenal. So it's one of those things that if we can end the stigma and help people get in, um, then that's rolling right into my next topic. Is the stigma is still a serious barrier for folks that have mental issues to receive help. I was going over some numbers, and I can probably figure out where they are and post them online. But there's a statistic that says 50% of Canadians wouldn't want to work with somebody who has a mental health issue. And the statistics show that 50% of our population has a mental health issue. Guess what? You're working beside somebody who has a mental health issue. They're just hiding it very well. And in some cases, they're not hiding it very well. Um, there was another story that was on Blackburn News the other day that a young man in Exeter in his mid 30s was out of control and destroyed the waiting office, uh, in the emergency department. And the police were called, and rightfully so. He did damage and stuff like that. But doesn't that say there's an outcry of people that really, really need our help? Like, a guy doesn't go nuts in the emerge ward of a hospital if he's not there to seek some kind of help. And he was obviously in serious distress. And what do we do with Canadians in distress? We throw them in jail. We lock them off. It's just ridiculous. Wait times for the average Canadian, if you're not in the system and if you don't have a doctor, you will wait anywhere from 8 months to 2 years to be able to see a professional to get help. The alternative is go to an emergency room. You'll see the ER doctor. They'll prescribe you some meds, send you off to a specialist, and you will wait. Uh, I can tell you for a fact that I am a person that has some mental health issues, and I am in the system. I had an episode that occurred with me in December, and I've been working through that, but I can't even get in to see my own health provider until early April. So that's a 4 month wait, and I'm in the system already. So that just tells you how convoluted it is. Uh, just going into the costs of mental health in Canada in particular is over $6 billion in lost productivity by Statistics Canada in the year 2011. There's nothing newer than that at this point. Most people that are of lower income are at a higher risk of mental health issues. They live life on life's terms, and they're usually, a paycheck or two away from being homeless. They may or may not have some sort of addiction issues. So there's just this whole ball of wax that's running into from one other thing to another. The mental health problems and addictions costs the Canadian taxpayer 5 times the amount that we use to treat all cancer in Canada. Okay, let me repeat that. People with mental health and addiction problems carry 5 times higher than all cancers, okay, in Canada. And when you look at infectious diseases in all of Canada, again, mental health and addiction runs 7 times that of infectious diseases. This is horrendous. Uh, I'm asking you to go out there and write a letter, pick up the phone, call your local politician, call your mayor, uh, do whatever's necessary to let's get this back on track, okay? Uh, let's work on this together. I know my young friend Ray Sabash, her and I are collaborating, can't even talk this morning, collaborating on the mental health disparity that's going on in Ontario and in Canada. And you'll see some further information coming from the both of us on that. So before I wrap up today, I just want to let you know this is your 911, okay? Uh, call 911. Literally, if you're in despair, call 911. If you want to talk to a nurse or figure out what your next course of treatment is, call 211, okay? Kids Help phone line, 1-800-668-6868. If you want to text to connect, because you're on your phone, 686868. Chat services are from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you go to www.kidshelpphone.ca. Trans Lifeline 1-877-330-6366. Hope for Wellness hotline, 1-855-242-3310. Online chats, hopeforwellness.ca, is the Indian Residential Schools Crisis Line, 1-866-925-4419. Canada Suicide Prevention Service, 1-833-456-4566. It's open 24/7. Do not go out there on a limb and do this by yourself. You can get help. Quebec residents, sorry, I'm not bilingual. Well, I speak Danish, but not French. 24/7, 1-866-APPELLE. Don't delay. If you really need help, get out there and get help for yourself or someone that you care about today. Please don't do this alone. If you're looking for more information and you'd like to contact me for the services that I provide, please contact Alan at tameyourdragonscoaching.com. That's my email, or you can go onto my website at www.tameyourdragonscoaching.com. I look forward from hearing from each and every one of you, and I hope that you will share this podcast. Let's get the word out there. Let's change the world today. Okay, we can do this. All right. Bless you all, and thanks. Have a good day. Bye bye.